Hello, everybody. My name is Jeff Bell, and welcome to the first episode of the Only Hoops podcast. Thank you all for tuning into this first episode. I just want to start off by saying that this is just going to be a quick introduction episode, talking about how I, first created this podcast, what the reason behind it is. Secondly, talking about some background about myself, and finally, just talking about what you guys can expect moving forward listening to this podcast. First, I'll start it off with the how this podcast was created. So, the podcast, my idea to start it kind of started out over the summertime. It really probably began, I would say, maybe April or May after March. March is really when COVID went crazy across the country, and that's when the numbers really started to rise and go up. So during lockdown, I wanted to stay in contact with a lot of people who I talked to previously, and originally I just had thought about having them on, just talking basketball. And I never really jump in and decided to do it. And that's not until now where I've done so. But my idea for the podcast has kind of manifested over this time. So going back, I would say, again, May, April was right after the college basketball season last year. I'll get into this a little bit further on in the video, but I was on staff last year at James Madison University with their men's basketball program. And we got let go, the coaching staff, in March after the conference tournament. But that was definitely tough. And then with COVID lockdowns hitting, being stuck at home was definitely really difficult. And like I said, that's why I wanted to stay in touch with people, talk hoops and everything going on. But there wasn't really much going on then, with everything being canceled, everyone at home in quarantine. The podcast now has definitely changed, and my thought process has changed now as COVID restrictions are easing up. I know numbers are going up, but a lot of restrictions are easing up. Basketball has begun with college basketball, NBA starting up shortly. And I definitely have decided now that I really want to go ahead and do this. What am I going to be doing exactly? So I really want to have people on and just talk about basketball and how it has impacted their life positively. So talking about that, as well as, their experiences in basketball, their background, what they've done, where they see themselves going. Then also just talking about college basketball, NBA, and basketball as a whole. What's going on around the game. I know college basketball has started up. A lot of, games have been canceled, things of that nature, but we've already had a lot of good matchups, of ranked matchups. I watched the Maui Invitational. That was really good. Villanova versus Texas was on the other night. I was watching that. So we have some big time games back up, as well as mid-major games going on. And I know games on the D2, D3 level are also going on. I know also some have canceled their seasons. So definitely having people on and just talking about, where they're at with basketball in their lives right now, in the past, and in the future. So that's just a little information about how, I really decided to, and how the podcast kind of evolved and my idea for it evolved. And next, I'll talk about a little bit of background about myself. While this podcast is not about me at all, I think it's important for you guys just to become familiar with who I am and then my background and my experience around the game. I originally was born in New York. I was born and raised there. I'm currently living in North Carolina. I grew up, like I said, in New York, attended college at SUNY Oswego, which is a state school up there. And my love for basketball really began around the time I was in high school. My dad coached girls varsity for a really long time. Boys JV, boys varsity, and now he's an assistant coach at the D3 level. And my mom coached a lot of youth basketball, modified, which is middle school level, and JV girls as well. Not sure if she ever did varsity. I don't think she did, but she has been around the game for a really long time as well. So I come from a really knowledgeable basketball family. And like I said, basketball's been something in my life for a really long time since I was pretty much a baby. Growing up, I played pretty much every sport besides football, soccer, golf, basketball, baseball. Pretty much you name it. I've tried it outside of football. When I was really young, baseball was definitely my number one sport. After a while, just kind of became burned out with it. And that was around the time I was entering middle school, high school. And when I was in high school in 2011, I believe I was a sophomore at the time. So I was around 15, 16 years old. Me and one of my buddies decided that we wanted to try coaching youth basketball. So my brother, who was in fifth grade at the time, was playing in a local youth league. And me and my buddy decided that we wanted to coach. So we went ahead and coached his team. And we had a team of fifth and sixth graders. We did that for 2 years, and we moved into seventh, eighth, and ninth grade for 1 year. So altogether, we did that for 3 years. That, as well as high school basketball, both JV and varsity, playing that is where my passion for the game really evolved and grew tremendously. When I went away to college, however, I did not do anything around the game for my first 3 semesters in college. Like I mentioned, I started out at SUNY Oswego, which is a Division III school in upstate New York. When I was there, I was just a normal student. Played intramural basketball, played pickup basketball. That was pretty much it. Didn't do anything with the basketball team there. Was not nearly a college level basketball player by any means. But, being around the game and watching on TV was obviously still something I did. Over the summers, I was fortunate enough to coach my high school's summer league team. So I did varsity and JV with my really good friend who helped me coach my brother's youth league team as well. So we both coached summer league. We ran instructional player development sessions over the summer as well. And that's really where, I gained that extra high school level, basketball knowledge. When I went for my next semester in college, after my fourth semester, I transferred to James Madison University in Virginia. So James Madison is a Division I school in Harrisonburg, Virginia. My sister was going there at the time, and I decided that I really wanted to go there. It was a really big sports school. Their football team actually won the national championship while I was there. The women's lacrosse team won the national championship while I was there. Women's basketball is really good. Men's basketball has a really good tradition as well. So I really wanted to transfer there, be around bigger sports programs, and get involved with basketball in some way. So luckily enough, I was able to become a volunteer student manager at the time when I was at James Madison under head coach Louis Rowe. His first year at JMU was my first year as manager as well. So like I said, I started out as a volunteer student manager, and I was just going to home games and helping out in practices. Outside of that, I was not really doing anything at all. Outside of that, I wasn't traveling with the team to away games. I was pretty much filming practices, helping out on court whenever needed, but just basically any task I was assigned, I was basically, told to do so, and I did it. No complaints, nothing like that. And luckily enough, the coaches and the other managers, a full-time manager at the time, were really, welcomed me with open arms and were so personable, taught me a lot, pretty much everything that they knew and learned previously, they imparted on me. And I really wanted to become like a full-time part of the program. So after the first year, I ended up traveling the second half of the semester with the team, and that definitely got my foot in the door for the next year to become a full-time manager. So for the next 2 seasons, I was a full-time manager, traveling with the team to away games, had added responsibilities in practice, also outside of practice, doing things around the basketball office, different tasks along that line. At this time, the coaches were so beneficial to my time at JMU. They were so personable. We would play pickup basketball with them before, after practice sometimes. And they were just so personable and so, down to earth and really willing to help out and share their love for the game and passion for the game and impart it to others. And that played a major role for me. And that's really when I figured out I wanted to do basketball, like for my future. Like I definitely wanted to be a coach, either on the college level, high school level, but like it was something that I wanted to do for sure. And then luckily my third year at the program, I transitioned to head manager. So I was in charge of all the other managers, assigning them different duties, things like that, as well as still traveling with the team for games. So after my third year with the program, the video coordinator position opened up, and luckily enough, I was able to transition into a member of the staff for my fourth year. That was actually last year, the 2019-2020 college basketball season. And as video coordinator, I was in charge of pretty much just any video thing we were doing. So a lot of scouting I was doing. So I was helping the assistant coach create scouting reports that we would show to the team. I was doing scouting like for ourselves. So we would film practice, and I would go back and work with the coaches on creating videos on like what we did good, what we needed to improve on. Also videos that we would show individual players, things that they should work on or things that they were doing really well. And I learned so much about the game last year, and I was like, I need to do this moving forward. Unfortunately, like I mentioned, we were let go, and then COVID hit and everything got kind of thrown a big giant wrench. Being under lockdown, I'm sure everyone, it was kind of difficult and tough. And like I said, that's kind of where my idea for the podcast started. Well, luckily enough, my girlfriend found a teaching job in Wilmington, North Carolina, and I was actually interested in getting my master's degree in physical education and health. And University of North Carolina, Wilmington had that program. So I am now getting my master's degree in physical education and health. I am helping out a local high school basketball team, and I'm doing a graduate assistant. So I'm usually pretty busy. I got a lot of stuff going on, but I'm really enjoying myself, learning a lot of experience, both with my graduate assistant and helping out this basketball team that's kind of just starting up now. Our season's slated to start in January. So we're just kind of starting practices now, but it's been enjoyable up to this point. And yeah, so that's basically my background in basketball. Like I said, moving forward, this is definitely something that I want to, stay in my life. I either want to coach, get back into college one day, anything along those lines. Just I love the game of basketball, And I just want to, share my experiences with others. And, that's kind of, the whole reason why I created this podcast. Finally, what you guys can expect moving forward. So, like I said, I want to have people on the podcast. I want to interview people, talk about their experiences with basketball, where it was in the past, currently what they're doing now, where they see themselves moving forward, getting how basketball affected their lives, as well as incorporating, just college basketball, NBA, that stuff's kind of starting back up, talking along those things as well, and really just talk about everything basketball. Like I said, it's the Only Hoops podcast. So the only thing that we're really going to be discussing is basketball and what's going on around the game right now. So, like I said, this is just going to be a short podcast. So that's going to conclude this episode. I really appreciate you all listening to this first episode. Hope you come back for my second episode. I'm going to have a guest on, so be on the lookout for that one. It's one of my really good friends, really smart guy who is on the staff of a Division I men's basketball program. So definitely be on the lookout for that episode moving forward. Like I said, thank you for listening to this one. I hope hopefully you guys will tune into later episodes, but please remain safe. I know COVID numbers are going back up nationwide, so please remain safe. Follow all guidelines, and thank you for listening. And hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys, and be safe.